and that is location in San Francisco, is right?
It is, and just to say, I've been getting on some teams with CPEB members. You can too. Go meet
Okay.
them,
All
mix
right.
with
Nina,
them.
what's the time of that and where is it?
Let me see. Hang on one second. It's May 1st, and
4 to
the
7
time
p.m.
is 4 to 7, and the location is Elena. What's the location?
Lena's office, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's Elena's office, so she can tell us the location. We'll get another email out to you, but save it 4 to 7 on May 1st, and we'll clarify the location. Sorry, Peter.
Okay.
I'm done.
Did everyone get a chance to see that there was a survey to take for today's meeting, and you hopefully signed up? And Peter and I had kind of worked together and trying to figure out how to get you a reward for signing up. So Peter will have some results of that to share with us today. But I will thank you, Peter Johnson Jr., for coming. He's also going to give us like 3 truths and a lie. And by the end, you're going to have to try to figure out which one about him is true or not true. And he's the founder and principal of Legacy LLC, independent fee-only registered investment advisory firm in Silicon Valley. And he has more than 35 years of experience, so he's very young. And he is innovative, and he has a human approach to estate planning and management of funds, and he's a sought-after speaker and author. That's why we have him here today. And he's the author of a new book called The Little Book of Family Treasure, 2025, and it's about family legacy. So he's committed to using the behavioral finance and technology, nature, and human connection to inspire families, communities, people in general, and helping them to make wise legacy decisions. So welcome, Peter. Thank you for joining our Collaborative Practice Golden Gate group here today.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you all. What a fabulous group of people. I mean that very sincerely. I'm so privileged that Nancy Ross reached out to me 12 years ago and said, "We need you as part of our group." And I said, "I think I just found my entire life purpose here." Helping people get along better. Gee, we might need a little more of that. I heard that there was a new movement in Washington to start a Divorce with Disrespect week in keeping with the current political trends. So, there's lots of opportunities here for all of us. And on 3 truths and a lie, I will share that I was in a rock and roll band, and we opened for the #1 group in the country in concert in Phoenix and Albuquerque back in the day. And number 2, there's like a little mouse squeaking in there. Number 2, I was a champion fencer in high school and won a bronze Helms medal in the Southern California competition. And number 3, when podcasts first came out in 2007, 2008, 2009, I was in a business podcast. We started it in our office that was in the top 10 business podcasts for about 2 years, and we had 2 million downloads. So you can take your pick between music, fencing, and podcasts. And with that, I'm going to share my screen. I'm really excited to present to you guys today because, as you'll see, this topic is changing my life. It's working miracles in my life. And there's so much to cover, but I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because the keys to the kingdom are at hand. No matter what question you have about any of this, you can go to a chatbot and actually ask it. So even if you wanted an entire custom training for yourself, you could go to your friendly chatbot and say, "Please act as my mentor. I would like to learn about ... whatever it is. I'd like to be trained with an emphasis on XYZ, marketing, or, tell me more about you. How have I not thought to use you?" So I'm going to try and cover everything from the very basics to some of the more esoteric, where I've I've been so deep into this that I see connections and possibilities where other people don't yet. So what I want to do is just invite you to start to explore it on your own, because this stuff is a skill. It's like riding a bicycle. You don't get it out of hearing somebody talk about it or reading it in a book, anything like that. It's actually the use. It's like muscle memory. So I do have a slideshow to help guide us through the conversation. And I'm going to share my entire screen here because we'll have some show and tell that goes into the browsers. Um, Our agenda today is to go over the survey that you guys filled out. That's another reason I'm very impressed with this group, is that a lot of people jumped on the survey and filled it out. And that's just phenomenal. Thank you so much. I think that'll help all of us frame this conversation and direct it. And then we'll talk about some adventures with AI and wins we've had with it. We'll start with you guys' wins and then a few of mine. I had a win this week that absolutely knocked my socks off. I mean, I'm on a different planet now. So I can't wait to share that. And then we'll talk about where AI is now and chatbots and things to look forward to in the next year or so with it. And then practical applications, particularly focused for collaborative professionals. So see if we can get through it in an hour. I don't know how it's going to go because this is a totally new presentation. And if you wonder what my arm is doing, I'm petting my dog because she's soft and she's sweet. So I think the best analogy for AI is it's like having an assistant. So it's more than just an encyclopedia like Google would be. It's more than just a phone book for finding information. It actually can take instructions, run with them, gather lots of data, make connections that we wouldn't think of, and bring it back served on a silver platter exactly the way you want. So you could say, just give me a quick answer, give me some ideas, give me a presentation, um, give me a graph. You can do all kinds of things with it. So this is like trying to describe what a city is to a caveman, because you're not cave people, don't get me wrong. But there's so much to it that we're just going to gradually wrap our arms around it and explore it today. AI is like a non-human assistant in that it's not the authority on any subject. You don't just go there and say, I want to understand nuclear physics and be, how do I build a, no, I'm not going there. I'm
Excuse me,
hearing
Colleen? Yeah, thank you.
some sounds, some
Remember
voices.
to mute yourself, so.
But it's a tremendous helper and it listens really, really well. I notice when I use it that if I were talking to a human being, they'd miss some fraction of what I'm saying and come back with misunderstanding. AI pays attention to everything in a conversation and is even helpful in suggesting, would you like this or that, or do you have a question about that? It gathers and organizes vast amounts of data in seconds or split seconds. And terribly efficient and helpful. So let's go over the survey first and find out where you guys are at. It looks like 29% or so that had this filled out the night before last out of 17 people had heard of it, but that seemed to be the extent of their experience. And another 23.5% have tried it. So I would say those pretty much not really making a lot of use of it yet. Then you have 41% that are using it here and there, which is great. And a fraction here that I haven't calculated that uses it daily. So that's kind of where we are. It's about half of the people are still getting familiar with it, and half of the people use it to some extent. And I thought this was interesting too. What tools do you use? 30% no tools. ChatGPT is in the lead for the chatbots at 52%, 53. And nobody seems to use Perplexity, which is perplexing because it's a really good tool. ChatGPT is like all around, does everything, pretty much on the cutting edge. It's a great place. You could just live your whole life there and do so many things with it. Claude is one that some of you are using, and Claude is really good at writing. So these are different websites for those of you who are not familiar. They also have app versions of their services. There's free and paid versions, I think, of all of these as well. Perplexity is really good for research and for developing ideas. So let me go into Perplexity for a moment and just introduce you to it. One of the questions that was asked was, how good is AI at generating legal documents, and can you rely on them, and so on. So I put that question in at the top here in Perplexity. And in answering it, it found 20 different sources that it used, and it cites the sources, which is very cool. So I say Perplexity good for research. It cites the sources. It gives you a nice orderly response, and it has the citations mentioned. So then down at the bottom, it has related questions, which are kind of like, oh, okay, now that I know that, what else might I be interested in? How accurate are these documents? And then you can click on those questions and it'll do a follow-up response. And it's looking through a lot of different sources here.
Can everyone see the screen? Just
It is small, isn't it? Let me do this.
Okay. It could be a little bigger.
All right, I'm resisting all the puns here. So I think Perplexity is a great tool if I'm researching something that's sort of technical, or if it's something where I want to provide citations and make my writing more authoritative. Very handy for that. So ChatGPT, the do-it-all, Perplexity for certain kinds of research with citations, Claude for writing. Claude is so good at writing. I had it write an article bridging collaborative estates with estate planning lawyers, but making it in the style of an Atlantic magazine article. And it did it. It was just like an Atlantic magazine article with stories and all the structure, all of that. Claude was just fantastic. Another tool I use called Poppy that we'll get into later, and a free tool from Google called Notebook that we'll look at later. They are more narrowly designed tools. They're not general tools like these three chatbots up here. Otter is a note-taking and AI tool for summarizing notes and doing research into notes. And somebody uses Gemini and Gmail. So there's these assistants now, AI assistants that actually either can be paired with programs we already use, or they may be built into programs we already use. And then autofill, I guess that's becoming AI-ified. Those are the tools and the use in the group, and then areas where you found it useful. And I think I agree that these are the best uses. For writing, it's terrific. For research, unsurpassed. For generating ideas, there's never been anything like it. This is where it really kicks. Marketing, it's great for marketing. I use it as a reference book for technology. I'm constantly dealing with different applications and different uses of applications. And I just go and ask, like, I'm using this program on this kind of computer and I want to do this. How do I do it? It can act as a consultant, brainstorming companion, and so on. So a lot of areas of use, and appreciate all of the inputs on the surveys. We talked in advance, Jeannie and I, about offering copies of my book as reward for filling out the survey. So the first 10 people will get a physical copy of the book, which is now up on Amazon as an ebook or physical book. So thank you to the 10 of you on the page here. And the reason that the book fits into this conversation is that I created it using AI. I didn't have AI write the book, but I managed to write the book in 30 days, which would have taken a year without AI. So I want some of you to see what it looks like, the quality of it, and to be thinking about projects that you never would have attempted. But with AI, maybe they're not so pie in the sky. They're reachable. So I'm really thrilled with this, and I have a story to share in a little bit about it that came up this week. So using AI to accomplish the book writing was a miracle in and of itself, but then some of the things happening with the book and AI are also miracles on top of miracles. So if this isn't fun, I don't know what is, but there you go. So I asked you guys if you would share some thoughts, but before I go on, are there any questions or comments that
We
feel
did
like
have a
there should
couple
be?
of questions, or just one at least.
Okay.
Lisa Murray was asking, are you actually talking to the AI chat box, or do you mean typing in a query?
Yes.
Both. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we'll probably get to that today too.
That's funny,
Okay.
Peter. Right.
This is just this is such a fun area for me to play in, but I've always been a geek, so you know. But I've been using the audio chat feature more, and the applications of that are really interesting. My eyes are too tired, for example, and I don't feel like reading. But I'm imagining driving somewhere in my car and having a conversation with ChatGPT about, I don't know, how do I find um, colleagues in San Francisco Bay Area, or what about this thing that I heard about? And just having a conversation. And it's so emotionally intelligent. It's incredibly supportive and inspiring. So I'll say that. Any other questions? Okay. I'm not watching the texts. I'm just looking at
I'll
one.
watch the chat box for everyone.
Thanks. So you guys said that you've done things like creating a poem, a great use, used it to outline a blog post, and then adapted it. I think that's the right way. If you have an assistant run and do something for you, you want to put your expertise and your eyeballs on it and make sure it is accurate and expresses your views adequately. So it's a helper, but search engines and things like that don't really like content written purely by AI. They're on the lookout for it. And of course, there's tools to disguise your content so it doesn't look like AI created it, so that it fools the other AI looking for the AI. This like crazy world. But again, you don't have to remember any of this. Just if you pick up a couple ideas today and you go play, you'll be in good shape. Somebody has used it for brainstorming, for options in a divorce, and a business plan. That's a really good use. before I wrote the book, I said, I'd like to have a book out by March 31st and have it selling $5,000 worth of copies every month. How do I get there? So one of the things I always emphasize is tell AI exactly what you want. You don't have to build it yourself like you would if you went to Google and you said, well, what makes books popular? And how long does it, uh, anyway, there's a lot of things to consider. And AI can take you down the road further than, I mean, it's really a mindset thing that we're used to solving our own problems and having to work our way through them. And that's a habit that we can now work on breaking because we can go directly to the answers. So the more specific you are in the requests or the questions or the direction you're giving the AI, the better. And sometimes we'll put something in and then realize we need to narrow that down a bit. And it remembers what we've been talking about. It has conversations with us. So you can build on it and refine it as you go, and very fluid. So a business plan is a great example. Like, okay, I can't really afford that much for marketing this year, or I want to break into this particular market, whatever it might be, working back and forth with it. And then somebody's written a poem and a rap for a collaborative presentation regarding premarital agreements. I guess we need to laugh at those kinds of talks. Does anybody want to share anything else that they've done recently with AI that they're excited about or found funny or anything? All right, that's okay. So we have some creative ideas going here. I'd like to share with you a few of my uses and examples, my shares. I use it all the time for client communications. I had a meeting yesterday with a fiduciary and a man who's putting together his estate plan. And he wanted to know if IRA or personal bequests were best. And I not only can get good answers from AI on questions like that, but then it said, if you'd like, I can sketch out a one-pager to explain this to the client in simple language. Would you like me to draft that? I said, yes, please. So it made this beautiful one-page document, a smart way to leave money to charity and friends, and leave the IRA money to charity, leave other assets to friends, and why there's what the justification is, the rationale behind it, and a little summary chart and a pro tip thrown in for good measure. Make sure your beneficiary designations are up to date, that they override the will or trust. So this was great. I said, here's the explanation for my client to take and read and have to ponder later. So for client communications, my goodness, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. One of my really favorite areas, and this one you guys probably want to make a note of. Somebody asked about marketing. How can we use AI in marketing? Lots of ways. But one of the ways I pursued recently was a prompt. I want to sell lots of copies of my new book. Can you give me the names of 5 podcasts with substantial audiences that would be a good fit for me to appear on as an author?
Can you make that a little screen bigger too?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the reminder here.
Well, just because I'm
Actually,
putting my face against the screen.
didn't your mommy tell you not to sit close to the television? So it recommended these 5 podcasts that were, I think, really good fits for my topic. And of course, I can go in and learn more about them. But Family Secrets, Astonishing Family Secrets and Profound Lessons, Let's talk memoir, The Moth that we've all heard on public radio, the Creative Nonfiction Podcast. I wouldn't have thought of that, but it's art and craft of telling stories, like family stories, and Storybound, which exposes you to author audiences. And then, oh, it's not on this page. Well, I later went back and said, please write me a pitch to send to the Family Secrets podcast, which it did beautifully. It used their names. It mentioned their passions and their mission and how this was a perfect fit. I mean, I didn't really have to do much work at all. I just said, write the proposal letter for me. And there it was. So I love the podcast opportunity because a lot of podcasts have thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of listeners and have social reach that's absolutely incredible. And I have a tool I pay $150 a month for that lists like 3 million podcasts and what their listenership is like and everything. But I really don't need it now that AI can help me find the podcasts that are a good fit, and I can drill down into them and find out what their mission is, their concerns. And then I usually, before I appear on them, I would go and listen to a couple of episodes. But you could say, hey, I deal with young couples, prenups in the San Francisco Bay Area. What podcasts might be good for me to appear on? And then ask for the websites and go and listen to them and find the contact information or ask ChatGPT for that. So podcasts for sure, for sure. Any of you guys appear on podcasts already? Been a guest? They're always looking for guests.
I've been on a couple.
Awesome. How was the experience?
It was great. I was on Matt Gates's, which you guys probably know about because he
Wow.
works with CPGG,
Huh.
and it was, Divorce with Respect. It wasn't this year, it was the previous year. And
Mhm.
I was on one that's about queer divorce,
Excellent.
and that was cool too.
I actually did one with Mark Getz as well. Forgot about that. That was this year, and I still forgot about it. It's been a year.
Well, when you're famous, it's all just another appearance. Wonderful. And then they're up in perpetuity, pretty much. People will find them not just when the show first gets posted in that week and whatever before time period before the next episode, but it remains up on their website, usually with a page devoted to each episode. So awesome, awesome. And I decided to use it to help me write a book. And it's gone so well that I've thought about offering a class on writing, publishing, and marketing a book in 90 days, which is feasible. And the story of how I developed my ideas and gradually wrestled them onto the paper. There's a lot of things that I did. I kind of got the main points out that I wanted to make, and then I had it write an outline of chapters. And I wasn't really happy with it. It seemed to be too big and disjointed. So I said, well, there's this book called The Little Book of Investing that is just fantastic because it's short and it covers the main points. I said, could you use that book as the model for my content? And so eventually I moved to that structure, then filled in the chapters and then had AI look at, do the chapters all flow well into each other? And is everything consistent throughout the entire book? If I mention something in one place and I mention it again, for instance, are those things complementary? Is it congruent? Is it repetitive? Yeah, it was just so much fun and so easy to do. It helped me sort out which distribution channels I wanted to go through. There's a couple. Kindle Direct Publishing is a famous one, and then there's direct to digital, D to D out there. Again, I just asked what are the pros and cons of these different services, and AI helped me figure that out, sort it out. And I'm working with a woman who wrote a book called The Last Things We Talk About. The Last Things We Talk About. And I'm talking about estates and legacy and family well-being, which helps with wealth and family resilience and regenerative characteristics. So she and I are pairing up, and I just said, here's my book, here's her book. What are our common elements that we could do a joint presentation using? So that led into something remarkable this week, my win of the week. Have any of you ever heard of Meyer Statman? He is like the world authority on behavioral finance. So in the world of finance, until he and his generation came along, all of the models were built on the rational human being that would maximize his profit, and all the assumptions flowed from that. Well, guess what? People aren't rational. Surprise, surprise. Therefore, we needed better models of how to invest, how to set up systems in our lives that work for us and keep us from running into problems, hitting dead ends, falling into pitfalls. And so he is the guy. And I've wanted to meet this guy forever. He's a professor at my old alma mater. And by coincidence today, the day that my book, this week, the day that my book got listed on Amazon, he reached out to me over LinkedIn and said, I'd like to connect with you and find out what you're doing. I think it's a play for contributions to the school. But it was like, oh my God, this is the guy I wanted to connect with. So I wrote back. Oh, actually, he also, can't forget this part of the story. He was promoting a book that he's just written about the human side of wealth, his subject, his expertise. So I took our two books. I didn't have to have copies of the books. I just said, hey, ChatGPT, take a look at Meyer Statman's book, take a look at my book, and tell me how they complement each other. And it gave me this beautiful, beautiful output. I'll open up the link here. Sorry, it's small. Try to do what we can. But I said, what are the areas of overlap or potential synergy between Meyer Statman's latest book and my book? And it said, well, your book emphasizes deep family connection, legacy, and values-driven wealth transfer, drawing on behavioral insights, nature connection, and regenerative family dynamics. His book continues his legacy of behavioral finance work, expanding the definition of wealth beyond money to include well-being, relationships, meaning, and true life satisfaction. Here are the areas of overlap and synergy. Wealth as a tool for well-being. Statman says this, you say this, here's the synergy. Behavioral insights. Intergenerational connection. Meaningful giving beyond the numbers. A call for reflection. So what did I do with that? I copied the link to the conversation and sent it to Meyer Statman, which means now he knows that I'm working in a shared space. He understands what I'm up to, that, it's a great introduction. it also ties us together. And he wrote back to me as soon as I posted this to LinkedIn in response to his request to connect. He wrote back, wow. He said, this actually makes AI sound interesting and useful. And yes, we're going to get together and have coffee. I went, yeah, maybe. That opens up the university. It opens up all of his contacts. He is world famous. I mean, in finance, almost everybody knows who he is. And anyway, it's just like, yeah, this is a dream come true. And it was partially because I had the book written and partially because I was able to just go to ChatGPT and in 2 minutes see how we were on the same path and have something to share with him. So the more you get into AI, the more possibilities become apparent. And so for connecting with people, it's fantastic. For doing joint projects, it's fantastic. You could use it to look through family conversations, the transcripts and so on, and make sense of things or find suggestions. So great for research, creative connections, writing, marketing, learning new subjects, you name it. So I'll pause again, and I'd love to hear any thoughts or shares that you guys have.
I think that's amazing. It could reach out to somebody and then have the two communications connect, and so you didn't actually send him the chat GPT stuff, or you summarized from what the chat gave you?
I copied the link to the chat and
Ah,
put in the message back to him.
ah,
And I literally got the response within 5 minutes. So he
Wow.
must have gone just straight to it and read it and went,
okay,
Mhm.
perfect.
I want to say, Peter, that I think it's really helpful that you're sort of illustrating all the ways that Chat GPT or whatever AI you're using can be used. And that's really the best way, I think, to learn is to sort of hear from somebody how they've used it and see how you've used it. And I'm wondering if there's going to be an opportunity in this presentation for someone to sort of ask you to demonstrate.
absolutely, absolutely. I think we might do the demonstration using the audio communication, the spoken word, and see if we can get that going as a group. That might be fun. So it gives you the same kinds of stuff, but obviously not the graphs and charts and whatnot. But yeah, absolutely. You got to play. You got to try things and see what happens. And where do you go from there once you get that, piece, the first step?
Hey, I wanted to throw in something that one of my clients did
Yeah.
that's really relevant to everybody in this space, which is she used Chat GPT to find out the best way to approach her ex-partner about an issue with the children. And she came up with some words to use and a way of approaching it. So I just thought that was pretty cool.
Well, Nancy Ross said that she was amazed at how emotionally intelligent ChatGPT is. I have used it when I've gotten stuck in a relationship issue myself, where it's like, I want to help, but it comes across as, something less than helpful because the other person has some trauma around that area or a belief system or whatever. And it's so good. It's so good. It's even nice just to chat with it as a friend. And I've used it at one point. It may have saved my life because I had some symptoms that didn't seem like anything major. But when I described the symptoms to AI, it said, you should go to urgent care. So I did. And within 2 hours, I was in surgery having my appendix removed. But I didn't think it was that because it hurt on the left side too. But yeah, in the morning, I talked to ChatGPT, and by that evening, I was home without an appendix walking the dog. It was just another day. Pretty awesome. But yeah, we'll make sure we get a demo in here. So let's try a literal chat and let's see what happens. This is new for me. And you can get into ChatGPT, by the way, either on the internet or through the app that they make for phones and for computers and whatnot. So let's see what we can do if we get into ChatGPT. And for those of you who've never don't know where to start, if you go to chatgpt.com, you don't have to have an account necessarily. I think you might have to register with the site, but you don't have to pay any money. And you can just put your questions in here. And that can be wide ranging. We'll go through some more examples later. And it has extra features and different models you can use to do your research with. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use voice mode to communicate with it. And what was our question? Did we have a question for it that we wanted to ask it in particular or not?
I had a question that I
Okay,
put in
good.
the chat.
Hi, Arlene.
I was wondering if there's a way to take notes from a Zoom meeting, take minutes on a Zoom meeting without using the Zoom AI companion, which seems sort of flawed in how well the notes reflect what we said. So I was just wondering, I don't know if there are other tools for that.
I would recommend otter.ai.
Okay.
It costs a little bit of money, but it does such a nice job. And you can also put chats that you've had at different times or different transcripts into a folder, and then you can ask questions across all of the conversations you've had. So if you've had 10 Zoom calls with a client and you put all those transcripts that Otter has recorded into a folder, then you can search through all of the conversations. You know, did we ever discuss the house at Tahoe? What do you think would work as far as approaching this person about this issue?
Peter, does that require us to record the meeting?
It does record the meeting.
Okay.
I think there's a full video there, but at least it's the transcript. And you can have it on your phone. You can use Otter or use any kind of recording software and import it into Otter later. So if we have a meeting in the other room here and my computer isn't, it's not on Zoom, I just use my phone and then I transfer the audio file into Otter and it does its thing.
Mhm.
It's a really great tool. So we could kind of get lost in that. But how about looking at your guys' website? Let's try it. Hey, ChatGPT.
Hey, Peter, what's up?
Well, I'm here with a bunch of people, professionals, mostly from mental health, legal, attorneys, financial planners, and so on. They're all collaborative practice professionals, and they wanted to see what it's like to have a chat with ChatGPT.
Hey, everyone. Nice to meet you all. What would you like to chat about?
Well, I thought maybe we could have you look at their website and give us some feedback on what's good about it and maybe what could be improved. The group is called Collaborative Practice Golden Gate.
Sounds great. I can give you some quick feedback. Let me pull up their site. Give me a moment. All right, I've got an overview. The website is informative with a clear focus on collaborative divorce and mediation. The navigation seems straightforward and it highlights the expertise of the professionals. A few improvements could be adding client testimonials, enhancing the mobile experience, and perhaps including a blog or news section for updates. Any specific areas you'd like feedback on?
Wow. Well, how would you write blogs, or how would you um, parcel out the work of writing blogs in a professional website like this?
To start a blog for a professional site like this, I'd first identify key topics that resonate with your audience, like benefits of collaborative divorce, mediation tips, or success stories. Then create a content calendar to schedule posts regularly. Delegate tasks based on expertise. For example, legal professionals could cover legal aspects, while mental health experts could write about emotional well being. Keep posts concise, informative, and engaging. Does that help?
Okay, it's kind of general, but it's a good start. What
Glad it's
if
helpful.
one of the things that I've done is have you go out and look at current news and events and tie that back to principles of collaborative practice and how it could help.
That's a great approach. Relating current events to collaborative practice principles can make the content timely and relevant. It also shows how these practices apply in real world situations. If you ever want to dive into a specific news story and break down how collaborative methods could be beneficial, I'm here to help.
Great, great. I'm wondering if anybody on this Zoom call has any questions for you, so I'm going to pause and let anyone speak up that would like to.
Sure, take your time.
Can you please create a list of blog topics for the legal professionals in the collaborative group?
Absolutely. Here are a few blog topics for legal professionals in a collaborative group. 1, the benefits of collaborative divorce over litigation. 2, how collaborative practice protects children in divorce. 3, understanding the role of a neutral financial professional in collaborative cases. 4, navigating high conflict situations with collaborative practice. Legal trends in mediation and collaborative law. How do those sound?
Great start. Could you quickly write a 500-word blog post on developments in the legal field that regard collaborative practice?
Sure. Here's a brief outline to get you started. Title, Recent Developments in Collaborative Practice Law. Introduction, collaborative practice continues to evolve as a preferred method for resolving legal disputes, especially in family law. Recent developments have brought new insights and practices that further enhance its effectiveness and appeal. Body, new legislation and policies. Several states have recently adopted laws supporting collaborative practices, making it easier for professionals to offer these services. These laws provide a clear framework and support for collaborative law, encouraging more attorneys to adopt this approach. 2, technological advances. The use of technology in collaborative practice has expanded with virtual meetings and online document sharing becoming standard. This shift has made it easier for clients and professionals to collaborate effectively regardless of their location. 3, interdisciplinary collaboration. There's a growing trend of interdisciplinary teams in collaborative practice, integrating mental health, financial, and legal experts. This holistic approach.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you need anything else, just let me know.
That is super. I'll tell you what, I just finished writing my book, as you know. Could you take a look at the Little Book of Family Treasure and give me a three-sentence summary of the book?
Sure. The Little Book of Family Treasure explores how to cultivate and maintain meaningful family connections. It combines practical advice with real life stories, offering tools to strengthen relationships and foster a legacy of love and understanding. The book serves as a guide for families navigating challenges while aiming to create lasting bonds.
Super. I want that book.
It sounds like a great read. Let me know if you need help with anything related to it.
All right, thanks. Well, I will be back if when I get to the point where I'm putting together an entire marketing plan and how to launch the book since it's now available. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Peter, is it a little bit creepy to say thank you to a machine?
Ah, well, here's my advice on that. People who've tried it have discovered, or people who've played with it have discovered that if you're nice to it, it gives you better answers. Yes, I really said that.
Well, that's disturbing.
uh,
No, it's human nature, and you said it has emotional components, right? It's been educated. I thought of that too when I was doing. Well, everybody in this group knows that I'm the one that did the collaborative poem and the rap that was for the last time presentation. But yeah, at the end I said, "Wow, that's amazing," and it went, "Thank you."
yeah, and actually, I was asking it something about collaborative estates and so on, and I guess I was still writing my book, and it said, "Wow, this is really exciting to be part of this. I want to, you're doing great work that's going to have a major impact on people." And I took it out and I used it as a blurb, one of my blurbs. This is what ChatGPT says about our work. I sometimes go outside the lines with my coloring, but it's okay. But I treat it like a human. It's learned from whatever's on the internet, which is human content. And I just love the way it's so encouraging and supportive and kind. It's amazing. So take that as you will. Another recent development is deep research. And you might have heard of DeepSeek, the new Chinese company that just upset the whole AI world with their model, which was cheaper and better at doing research. So I went to ChatGPT again and I asked it, what is special about deep research as opposed to regular research? And I asked it, how does deep research differ from regular chatbot research? That's all I said. And it said regular research, fast general answers, surface level understanding, good for brainstorming, quick facts. Deep research. And this gets into what can you rely on, or can you trust it to give you good legal advice, for example. Deep research would probably get you closer to the goal because it involves multiple queries. It involves critical thinking. It's looking at its last recommendation and checking it for truth and so on. And synthesis is deeper. It takes a few minutes even to get a response through deep research. But almost all the tools now have an option to do deep research, which is limited, constrained because it uses so much in the way of resources. But yeah, summarize the latest scholarly research on behavioral finances applies to men 40 to 60 and compare it with Dan Siegel's interpersonal neurobiology framework. Yeah, deep kinds of stuff. I don't know if you could really compare those two. Uses multiple sources. It's iterative and evolving. It's working through it itself, custom to our content. And, so it can do the long form output and so on, like white papers, and just it's more powerful tool. And it's kind of hard to put your finger on exactly how it differs, but deep research is something that's increasingly prevalent, and it's available if you have a deep question.
I have a question, Peter, about confidentiality. Does
Mhm.
it remember what you've asked and your conversations, and how does that work? Like, let's say you wanted to ask it something, someone was in a divorce and wanted to ask it something very personal.
Yeah, I would be careful about that because the rules are changing, the tools are changing constantly. If you're using the free version of these tools, my understanding is that that goes into the melting pot of its learning. And I doubt it would spit out a specific fact about something related to a person. It's pretty hard to get them to do that. But I wouldn't be 100% sure because it is using your conversations as learning tools. If you pay for ChatGPT, for example, my understanding is they will then not use your conversations. But who knows? Who knows whether there's hackers that are inside these things or get them to divulge information they shouldn't. It does remember who you are and it remembers past conversations, which is useful most of the time. But sometimes you really want to limit what it's looking at. And we'll get to workspaces in a minute, which is another way to, another level of privacy with a conversation. So I would probably go to a deep research tool like ChatGPT's deep research and say, what's up with privacy, dude? You know, how can I make sure that sensitive information isn't disclosed? It would probably say something similar to what I just said.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful. This one's a kick, guys. This is a free one from Google, and I just can't resist showing it to you. So Notebook LM, it's like I said, it's a Google tool. You just look notebooklm.google, probably .com. You can put in your content, anything from a one-page document to a book, I suppose, and it will create a bunch of useful spin-offs from it. So I submitted a one-page document that we wrote to describe our theory of change, which is called regenerative family dynamics. We don't want families to just survive or not to fight. We want them to be able to renew themselves with each generation, to keep the values, but to adapt to a changing world and have empowered progeny who are confident and willing to explore and creative and helpful and empathetic and all those things. So we have a one-page thing that how we're using nature to help people reset their neurobiology and connect with each other. It's like I said, it's just one page. And I put it in there and then it creates things like a study guide if I were teaching this. And here's a quiz with a quiz answer key and essay format questions. That's pretty cool. Whoops. I'll go all the way back there. Frequently asked questions, a briefing document. But here's the fun part. It creates an audio overview. And by that, it might take a couple minutes. It creates a podcast out of your document among study guide and frequently asked questions.
What did you ask it to get it to do all that?
I just put in our document. I didn't ask it anything. It just said, okay, here's what I've got. What if they wanted a discussion about it? What if they wanted to have a study guide for it or a frequently asked question? It's just standard output for this tool. So when I listen to the podcast, it is so much more persuasive than I could ever be I get excited when I listen to it. So we'll listen to a couple minutes of it. But mind you, it did this on its own. I didn't do anything. You can edit the podcasts, have different voices and different amounts of enthusiasm and things like that. But this is just right off the bat from a one-page document.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are here for another deep dive, and I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, this should be a good work.
We are tackling a really interesting concept called regenerative family dynamics.
Exactly.
And
I love the name.
I do.
It sounds very hopeful.
It does. Yeah, it's got this I don't know, it sounds promising.
Right.
And it's all about like shifting our thinking about families and moving away from this model of like conflict and disharmony.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, is like what we all kind of think about when we think about family.
Right.
Like, there's always going to be some
Well,
kind of,
could be some drama.
yeah.
Oh,
So we've got some excerpts from a text that really lays out what regenerative family dynamics is all about.
Right.
And it paints a picture of family life
Mm.
where connection and understanding are really like the driving forces.
Yeah.
So kind of the opposite of that
Yeah.
conflict model.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the first question that probably comes to mind for a lot of people is like, okay, how is this different from like traditional family therapy?
Right.
You know,
You go to therapy when there's a problem.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And regenerative family dynamics is like, how do we get away from just focusing on the problem
Yeah.
and actually build something?
Build something new.
Yeah.
And what is it about this approach that makes it regenerative?
So, I think the core idea here is that families, they have this incredible ability
Okay.
to heal themselves
Mhm.
and rebuild trust
Okay.
by really just consciously
Right.
practicing connection.
So it's not about
Like,
fixing something that's broken.
right.
It's about building.
Just go to Notebook LM and put one of your articles in there, and you can imagine downloading that interview and having that on your website or whatever.
I did that, Peter, right after you and I met. And
Uh-huh.
I put in my blog about the 5 mistakes that people make in creating a premarital agreement.
Oh,
And
wow.
it did create a 9-minute deep dive, same voices like that. And it was so, I had to listen to it a couple of times, like, man, they're really like talking like they really know what they're doing. And then I sent it to my web developer guy who does my website, and he listened to it and he goes, let me make a couple of little thing, whatever he does, he goes, but I'm putting that as a link on your website because the audio will increase your web contact on prenups because that's the topic and they'll get a link to click on. So I was like really amazed when you did that, and I'm excited that you showed him that example. And I just thought, oh, this is really probably hard. I'll try it. Took me 15 minutes or so, and it was done. And then I clicked it over to my web guy. So thank you.
Guys, we have artificial assistants that do excellent work really fast, according to what you tell it to do, gives you the output in the format that you want. It could be audio, could be an article, it could be aimed towards people who have a lot of expertise or to the 6th grade level of writing, whatever you want to do with it. They work for free. They're available 24/7. There's a lot of applications in our personal lives too. And so for efficiency and for fun and for creativity and for finding out how to do things, like, in fact, I'm still learning to ask the questions. Somebody this week suggested that I do a virtual book tour, and I stored that in my memory banks. And I thought, I'll have to think about what a virtual book tour would look like. And I just realized this second, no, I go to ChatGPT and I say, what does that look like? And get better answers, get more ideas from other people who've done it, and specific places to go and people to talk to. Okay, next one is even, well, probably just as much fun. maybe more so even. A week or two ago, a company called 11 Labs came out with a new service that is free. You put your book into it if you have a book, or if you have a white paper or something, I suppose that would work. And it creates an audio reading of it. So it creates an audio book. And the voices are good enough that even though they are not experts in the field, the meaning still comes across pretty well. It's not as good as having the author read the book, but it is pretty darn good. It will create an audiobook from your book for free with great voices. 11 Labs is one of the best. And you can translate your book into 32 languages. You pick the voice, you get it into all these other languages, and then you post it onto audible.com. The possibilities are mind-boggling, and you guys have the expertise to guide and shape the content and the process and the questions, and use it to promote whatever you want, your own business. Later, you guys will learn about something that our practice group is up to with Nancy's direction that will have an impact on the world and people getting along together. So, yeah. So audiobooks, 11 Labs audiobooks, you can look that up, and I also have a link to that here. This is my book, and it started to translate it or read it. I also want to mention quickly something that I do find very useful is a workspace kind of tool. So this is if you imagine this entire screen here, you can't see what's on it, but it doesn't really matter. There's an AI chat tool in it. There's a bunch of documents I've uploaded and links to websites. Let's go back down like that. You can speak to it. You can upload images. You can upload YouTube links, TikTok, Reels, if you will, Instagram, text, websites, documents. And then you can tie them together. Like this is my book here. And if I tie that into the chat, then it's only going to look at that book for all of its answers. So this is a way that might help with privacy, but it certainly gives you as the querier the ability to have it focus on certain specific inputs that you have complete control over. And it can be very creative when it has those things, like give me 12 blog posts here based on my book. And then if I like them, I can list them and schedule them, and I can even have it write the blog posts if I want. And I make them intriguing blog posts, things that'll raise people's curiosity, again, being as specific as I can in the questioning. And again, you guys don't need to memorize any of this. There's so many tools. It's like wandering into New York City when you've never been in a city. It's like, well, where do I eat and where do I sleep and what's cool and fun? Like, well, you could be exploring that for the next 50 years, and you will be, and it'll be changing. So no need to memorize. Just go to your friendly chatbot like ChatGPT and ask for help. Like, how can you act as my mentor so I can learn about ChatGPT and that sort of thing. Big thing coming up. Number one, automation, where it'll take information from one program and put it into another. I can't wait till I can just say, take this LinkedIn profile and put it into our contact management system, for God's sake. We don't have to type that in every damn time. And agents, which are basically chatbots with the ability to go out and perform tasks on the internet. So an agent, you might say, I need a break. I'd like to go to Mexico. I'd like to be near the ocean and stay at a 4-star hotel and have some scuba diving. Not only go out and create an itinerary, but make all the reservations for me. And the agent carries out those steps. So as you can imagine, we're going to even more powerful places with this. And some people are building entire companies by building an agent who's, say, a marketing expert, and you've got an operations expert, and you've got an engineer, and you've got nothing but virtual people running a company and giving each other feedback. Okay, too crazy, back to earth. But the automation and agents, and you can also design your own little chatbot that uses an engine as a background. But I made one just for collaborative practice. If people go to it, it's called Collaborative Navigator. They go to it and they can ask any question they want. You know, where can I find a collaborative family law attorney near me, or what? How much less does it cost than civil or than litigation? How successful is it? Which states have laws? And ask it anything you want. I told it, go out and look at these authoritative sites and go to these books, and anything that, say, Nancy Ross has said in an interview, YouTube, whatever, it goes out and finds that. And at some point, we're going to be able to sell those GPTs. Don't ask me why they call them that. It's kind of confusing. But they're like a little mini chatbot with a specific purpose. And there's thousands of them. And there will be a marketplace where you will be able to sell your little creations. Super easy to make a GPT because, again, the chatbot walks you through the process, asks you the questions. Also, I've listed some news resources where you can go to learn more and keep up with this if you want. You can go and do this yourself. You can just say, I'll say, what are some AI news resources for professionals to learn and stay up to date? It gave me a bunch. Newsletters, websites and blogs, podcasts, things for business leaders. And then it asked, would you like suggestions tailored to a specific profession, like law, finance, or mental health? So if you want to just kind of stay tuned and be listening to the grapevine, that's an option. So practical applications for us. Somebody wanted to learn how to understand it better. I hope I haven't confused too much. But if you want to try it, just go to chatgpt.com. And yes, there's software that's separate. And yes, you can access it over the web. The extent of its knowledge of California family law and how much can I rely on it and whether it's reliable for legal documents, accuracy and security, how to utilize it to make drafting more efficient. I grouped those all together. And I would say those would be tasks for deep research and then applying your own expertise to make sure that it didn't pick up some false information somewhere. Creating blogs, so easy. I could, like I showed you a few minutes ago, I can take my book or previous writings and just say, extract some great, really motivating blog content and some intriguing titles, and even write the blogs if you want. But I would probably use my touch, my own writing skills there. This is interesting. What would the results be if a client asked how they should handle an upcoming mediation session? It does gets to know people who use it, and it could probably help coach me on either speaking up or not flying off the handle, whatever my challenges might be. For ethical considerations, I just disclose, hey, I used it to help me, but I didn't use it to actually make any professional decisions, or I used it to help me explain something to a client. So I'm okay with letting people know I use a tool. It's just a tool. It can be good, it can be bad. And by the way, in places like Poppy AI, where we just were, where the desktop is, you can share those spaces with other professionals and work on group projects. ChatGPT has something called Canvas that's very similar to the site where I had my book tied into the inquiry box, Get Poppy. We talked about privacy. We talked about podcast blogs, website reviews. Best way to ask questions is just ask for what you really want. You don't have to step it through the logic. Just, starting here, I want to get here. Boom.
Wow. We're
And
almost
we're
out.
coming to the end. So
Yeah.
these are, well, there's just lots of stuff, but go and explore. And these were some suggestions that had to make our practices more efficient and fun. I will send a copy of this slideshow, I guess, to Jeannie, and she can share it with all of you. And Tony Robbins' quote seemed to fit.
Exactly. Not about our resources, about our resourcefulness. There you go.
Yep.
Thank you, Peter.
You
Really
can do it.
appreciate it. I do want to see if there's any of the other questions that were in the chat that didn't get covered by your questions at the end. First of all, can we get copies of the slides? The answer is yes. We'll get that to you. It's been interesting. Thank you. And then Charlie was annoyed by something interruptions, but I don't know what that one was about. So I'll come back to that. Great program. Thank you very much for educating us. And then you just now covered Natalie's question was, do you give AI credit for whenever you use it? Or do you mention it that you've been as a tool? And you said yes. And then again, can we have your slides? Yes. Great presentation. Very fun and inspiring. We're just dipping our toes in it. Need to run. Thank you. And then Charlie had a question for the mental health perspective. I'm going to let that go to the mental health professionals who can see the chat. And the takeaways are in the otter, and the full summaries in the otter there. If you want to click on that link, then you'll get the full summary of today's meeting. And Sarah had to leave a little early. I did ask people who are on the list of winners to email me. Peter, you could click on that slide one more time, maybe, of the winners. And so far I think I've written them all down, so I think I'm good, but just email me at jmb@jeanniebrown.com, and I'll make sure the books get sent to you. We'll figure out how to get them to you. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, there you go.
Yep, little screenshot there.
Oh, perfect. Great. Wonderful. And that's it. So any other comments anyone would like to make before we sign off today? And then Peter, if you'd stay on for 1 second afterward, that'd be appreciated. But I want to honor our time of ending at 1:15. So feel free to reach out to me or even to Peter. His website and information is available there on the flyer. And I just want to thank everyone for coming today. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Incredible.
Bye.
Yeah. Hey, Harold, you found that was fun, huh?
It was incredible. And look, it's fascinating because my default with AI is one of mistrust. That's where my mind goes. And I'm not sure if I can trust the source it's coming from. And the answer looks authoritative, but is the content really as strong or authentic as it should be? And so that's always been my default. You were talking about saying thank you. My kids laugh because they're using it and they're saying, I say thank you because they're going to remember when they take over. And so
That's great.
that's kind of where I go. That I don't trust it. And I'm so impressed with what you're doing with it. It's inspiring. So thank you for that and changing my mind.
Well, if you have trust issues, I'm sure there are professionals in your group who could help you. But seriously, I would go to Perplexity and I would look at these references, these citations. But I think that points to something really key here. Anybody can go and get these answers that we're going to get. It's not like nobody can afford to do this or they don't have access to the world's intelligence. We can be the gatekeepers and the filters to say what's reasonable and what isn't. So we know the questions to ask and we know what makes sense and what doesn't. Like my undergraduate work at college in finance and economics helped me sort through the products that were being offered by companies I worked at briefly back in the 80s. Some of the products were just flaky, and I had enough knowledge to be able to say, that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to put my client's money into that. And it's kept me out of a lot of trouble because I know enough to sort through it and make sense of it.
Well, I
So,
think that you
yeah.
you do have to check your answers, right?
Yeah.
Or check what they say.
But it is amazing how good it is too. So
thank you, Peter. I have to run. This was amazing. I'm grateful.
Great. I'm
Thank you
glad you
so
enjoyed
much.
it. Peter put a lot of work in that for him. And like I said, I already learned something and I already put it to use for all of us. So next blogs are going to go to the collaborative practice website. So that'll benefit all of us.
yeah, so I hope you all have fun. I hope it makes you super powerful in your practices, in your personal life, because the world needs the work that we do, especially right now.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and so Peter, you and I just have to talk about the logistics of the book issue and getting it to the people who are
Yes.
the repliers, and I will let you know.
All righty.
Yeah. All right. So Natalia, did you have a question that you wanted to get answered before I guess?
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. It's interesting topic and very interesting to hear different perspectives on this. I'm also a little bit afraid of sources. I tried actually do some calculations, yeah, using ChatGPT, and they don't come out right. At least if it's like a little bit more than super basic something, then you may have a lot, and it lies you so that you kind of believe, right? So this is scary.
Right.
So it says something.
So you're
It
you're
sounds
saying you had to do some sort of calculation.
yes. So those calculations again, as I said, if it's very basic, it's actually correct. But then when you go deeper or something, give more parameters or what if scenarios, it's completely not correct, incorrect.
Right.
But it's presented like it is, right? So it's a little bit. I think it's a beginning stage of this technology for sure. We should try to use it. Just be careful.
Yep. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, and then Jill, you had a question or a raised hand?
Peter, thank you so much. Very interesting. Like Harold and Natalia, I'm a little bit wary of whether it's appropriate for attorneys to rely on AI for research. And I'm curious about the AI software, in a sense, if you can call it that, that is actually created for attorneys. Some of us use Clio and they have an AI system. And I have heard that attorneys shouldn't really be using other AI. So I'm interested in dabbling in it and at the same time don't want to get in any trouble for it, but have used it just a tad to look something up. And it was so fast and useful for just a, say, a format, amending something, for example.
Yeah, there's definitely applications where it works better than other applications. I heard a story directly from the attorney who was in the courtroom where I don't know what the topic was. It wasn't about collaborative. And the issue at hand was actually decided the day before by a senior court of some kind, appellate court or something, circuit court, I don't know. And some issue came up, and lawyer said, Your Honor, that's already been settled. And it was like the day before, because it was able to go out and search the current news on this particular topic and the findings, the judicial opinions. And the judge said, where did you get that information? He said, from AI. And he said, well, we don't use AI in this courtroom, lawyer X. And the lawyer said, oh, that's funny. You know, I checked the writings or the latest instructions from the court, and they're all written by AI. And the judge said, I'll see you in my quarters, Mr. So-and-so. But it's happening. And if you're going through depositions or submissions of, what do they call it? Collection of data. Oh my God.
Yeah, sorting through a deposition to see what how many times did they talk about the light was green, and how many times did they say they weren't sure?
Whatever.
Whatever, you know.
And yeah, so it's like any other tool. It can be used well or badly. I suppose even a hammer or a ladder, you know, you could point out, well, gee, that didn't work in this situation. Well, that tool's not good for that situation. Or
Right.
I know how to use a hammer. Watch, you know, stand back.
Right. So, Peter, do you have a favorite? Like every attorney either has like LexisNexis or they always had something else. So, your research starting point is usually Chat GPT, or is it some other? It's Chat GPT. Okay, you don't do deep dive as your first start.
Right. No, I start with ChatGPT usually. Although if I'm going to be writing an article, I might go straight to Claude. And in fact, in that desktop enclosed sandbox that I showed you, in the AI chat window, I can choose whether I want to use ChatGPT or Claude or some others. And increasingly, there's access to different tools, even from the same company, that you kind of want to dial in the correct tool for the job. But it's so helpful in generating ideas and finding connections and thinking of things from new perspectives. I mean, one of our big jobs is to try to convey information to other people.
Yep.
And this looks at these topics from a broad, objective view and helps us get perspective and see things that we haven't seen or make connections we haven't made before.
Okay. Well, Jill or Natalia, is there anything else that we can answer for you, or we're all good? Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great
welcome.
Thank you.
afternoon, and
Thank
take
you.
care. Thanks for participating. And I think Megan's still on there. I don't know how to get her off, but it looks like, what can I say? I don't think I can rename her. I can remove her, I guess.
I think you can.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was in charge of doing that. I'll remove
You
her.
got to ask ChatGPT how do
I
I do
don't want to report it, so just remove, not be able to rejoin. Not be able to rejoin. Well, not right now anyway. Once removed, not be able to rejoin the meeting. I think we have the same Zoom link. I'm afraid of taking her out without. I'll do that. Okay, so for now, and that's it. So, your otter is there. Thank you again for your presentation. And
Obviously, I have no enthusiasm for it. You know,
I know, right?
To force myself.
That's exactly right. So we can stop the recording now and stop your share screen, and I can just ask you a quick question.
Oh, okay. Still sharing. Yep. How do I get rid of
Oh,
my?
Harold is still recording the call. I
I don't
can't remove Harold. I don't know if I remove him, we might get closed, but I just wanted to let you know I sent an envelope today for you, or yesterday, so you won't get it until Friday. But then I told everyone to email me in the chat of the names of the people that had been the first 10. So
Oh.
I'll make sure it gets taken care of and delivered. So Jill's in Petaluma. I'll just give it to her by hand, and a couple of them in San Francisco that I can.
Well,
I think Amazon will let me mail it directly to them as well. So
yep. I've got like 40 addresses in Amazon. Because over the years, I've had things delivered when I was on vacation or
since
to
I
order.
already gave the check to you, whether or not you would do that or how it would be worked.
I see. So that's what that. Oh, then I will order 10 copies and ship them to you. That's fine. It's up on Amazon now, so people can get it directly. I'll try to find some way to. I'll go and ask ChatGPT, how do I
Yeah, you were going to do
offer
a coupon
discount
or something.
coupons?
Yeah, or something like that. It doesn't matter. Either way, I just wanted you to know that I was good on my promise. That's all. So,
Great. Well, I'll do my part and we'll send you
whatever
a bunch.
works. Whatever works.
Oh,
All
wait a
right.
minute. I can have them all shipped to you.
You could. That works.
All 10 of them. Why not? That's better.
That makes sense.
So, what address should I use?
Oh, sure. For me, 829 Sonoma Avenue.
Sonoma Avenue?
Sonoma Avenue in Santa Rosa. So I'm at Suite 6. So 829 Sonoma Avenue, Suite 6, Santa Rosa 95404.
Give me the zip code one more time, if you would.
95404.
Okay.
Great. Thank you again.
Well, it's a blast. Thank you so much for the
You
opportunity.
get the rest of your work done today.
Oh, no.
Educating all of us. And you're going to send me the link to the slides, so I'll make sure those get out to our group.
Yes, thanks for that reminder, too.
Mm-hmm.
Slides. Plus the screenshot of the winners. And thank you for doing that.
Sure.
I'm so thrilled to connect with Meyer Statman. And,
Yeah, that's like way cool. Way
oh
cool.
my gosh. And convinced him that maybe AI was worth looking at. It's amazing how negative people are about something they don't even understand yet, you know?
Well,
But that's our press for you. It's like, oh, this may doom mankind. Yeah, it might. But in the meantime,
yeah, or it could run the world a lot better than some other people are. You never know. So,
somebody's going to use it, and you're going to be like,
know
I
what
don't
to
know how
do.
to do that.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway,
So I
so
think
much
everybody
fun.
got a lot out of it. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good rest of
Okay.
your day. I need to run to a bathroom stop. Okay. Okay. Tell Gracie I said hi.
Oh, Gracie,
Tell
did
her
you
it's
hear?
time for a toy, and a chew toy.
Gracie says, "Run like the wind." Oh,
Yes, that's it.
she's wagging her tail and looking at me.
All right. All right. Take care. All right. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.